warmly welcoming you to How Does She Do It, the podcast, with me, your host, Jo Ferroni. Join me on my journey as I explore finding a gentle balance in both business and life, because being kind to ourselves is our superpower. Today's conversation is with Alix Hubble. Alix is the founder of ChickFit, a women's health and fitness coaching business where she works one-to-one, in groups and online with women at all ages and stages, from pregnancy right through to the menopause years. ChickFit is all about giving women a healthy and holistic approach to healing their bodies and regaining fitness by combining exercise with soft tissue massage therapy, nutrition, self-care, and day-to-day strategies to get the very best results and help them regain confidence in their bodies. I love this conversation with yet another wonderful supporter of women. Aren't we lucky to have such a positive and inspiring community to learn from? I feel so blessed to have brought you 8 incredible souls so far, and there are so many more coming your way. There is plenty for you to take away from today's episode, and I would love you to share this and any of my other episodes with a friend or business associate if you think that they too would benefit from a listen. Enjoy the show. Alix, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Really, really lovely. And I was lucky enough to be on your podcast recently as well. So we must tell people at the end where they can go and find your podcast, of course. So it's lovely to have you here today. We've got matching microphones, so it's obviously going to be a good one. Let's get started. Let's tell the audience a little bit about you. It would be great if you would start by telling us why you chose to work for yourself, and where that came from. Perhaps you've always worked for yourself, perhaps you haven't. Tell us a little bit.
So I've been running my business ChickFit for about the last 8 years. So I started in my mid-30s, so you know how old I am now. And it was my second career. So when I left university, I started working in advertising and worked there for about 10 years in London. So I was doing the commute, and we lived in London at the time as well. So I did the whole commute and used to love that job. You know, when I first joined the agency that I worked for, it was brilliant. But then as the years went on, I started to realise that I was just getting myself stressed out about things that I kind of felt didn't really matter, and I just lost the passion for it, really. And I suppose along the way, I had always had in the back of my mind that being a personal trainer might be a good alternative career, just because when I was in my early 20s, when I first came out of university, I'd had a knee injury. I used to do a lot of rowing at university, and I had a knee injury. I put a lot of weight on. I just didn't feel like myself at all. And so I went to the gym and, started that journey myself. And because of the positive impact it had on me, I decided that it was something that eventually I would like to make into a career. So while I was still working, I took my personal trainer qualification and passed that. And then we moved out of London. I had my daughter already. I got pregnant with my son. And after I had him, I kind of thought, right, now really is the time. And so that was when I launched the business. And I suppose it's been a bit of a journey, really. I started off as a personal trainer, and I was simply that. Women would get in touch. They say, I want to lose some weight, I want to tone up, come and train me. And that is what I would do. But over the years, I have specialised more and more in the postnatal world. So, helping women to heal from C-sections, diastasis or tummy separation, pelvic floor issues, and actually more generically getting women back to exercise and feeling confident again in their bodies. And so I've moved a lot more in that direction, but I do also have a more general, I suppose, fitness platform with my membership, which is a big sort of passion of mine at the moment as well. So that's something that I'm very much working on right now. So yeah, it's been an evolution, I would say. What I'm doing now, very, very different from where it started. And I suppose I've been led by what I'm passionate about and what my clients need as well. And that has sort of led me in that direction. And I suspect that next up, there's going to be more midlife stuff, more menopause stuff, because that's where I am myself. That's where a lot of my clients are moving towards, and sort of starting to come to me saying, oh, I've noticed this thing happening, and why is this going on? So I suspect that will be kind of the next step in the evolution of ChickFit, actually.
I love that. ChickFit, the next generation.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, I feel that there is so much to take from what you've just said there. Firstly, I find it really interesting. I think so many of us did did the London thing, if you like. And it would appear that many people do work in London, live in London, perhaps live that. I remember, it was quite a vibe. It was a fun life, actually, to do the London thing. It was quite exhausting as well. Mm-hmm. And I do wonder whether many of us do it for a certain amount of time and then need to step off. What I really love is that you kind of started having these thoughts about moving in the new direction, if you like, stepping away from corporate life and doing things slightly differently, not only because of the, you were changing in terms of your age and what have you. We grow and evolve, as you've already talked about, but you were almost able to take from your experiences that you had as well from way before you were working. So you talk about university when you got the knee injury and that experience. So what I love is that in your head, you were almost, and stop me if I'm putting words into your mouth, but it almost seems like you were logging it, you were taking in, right, this is where I am on my journey right now, and you were learning so much from that experience that you then came back to it during your time towards the end of your corporate life, that you're like, well, hang on, what can I do here? This is interesting. I felt like this, and then I did this, and now I feel a different way. And I just find that so positive. So I believe that with people that do the work that you do, and this is before we even get into the more sort of female side of things, just thinking about the personal trainer, it's so often that someone has had personal experience as well as doing all the training. So I feel that you give that much more in-depth offer, if you like, to your clients.
Yeah, I think as well, one thing that has struck me over the years is that I think people think that, not that I call myself a personal trainer anymore, by the way. I call myself a fitness and wellness coach. But I suppose when people ask me what I do, I say personal trainer because it's easy. People understand that. Yeah. But I suppose because of what I do, people expect me to be a naturally motivated person. They expect me to be, naturally wake up in the morning and be dying to get a workout in and to not struggle sometimes and to not have my, less motivated times and this, that, and the other. And, I know I did a post recently and a couple of people said to me, oh, it's like you're reading my mind. Like, how do you know all this stuff? And it's because wherever my clients have been, usually I've been there myself. And it doesn't mean that I've got all of the answers, but it does mean that I have learnt lessons from them. I suppose, I'm very much a person that believes that rather than just carrying on doing the same thing over and over and over again, there's always a lesson to be learnt. And so that's what I've tried to do. And I'm still learning those lessons now, but because of my own experiences. And I think people are often surprised when I say, actually, I have days when I can't be bothered, or weeks when I can't be bothered, quite frankly. I am the same as you. I've got a busy life. I've got kids. I'm running my own business, all those kind of things. And I think it's really important to have that. I don't think that I would be working with the same women if I didn't have that and I didn't have that experience. So I think it's something that people really resonate with, and it helps me in my career as well. But then, of course, I watch all my clients going through various different things as well, and I learn from that too. So I'm very privileged that I get to learn not just from myself, but from everybody else around me as well. So yeah, I think like you say, that's a really important thing, going right back to, my very early 20s and then all the way through. I've been learning the whole time, and that's what I then apply to what I do with my clients.
I love that. And I think that the fact that you're so relatable, as you say, will really speak to your clients, your potential clients as well, because I think I spoke about this recently with another guest on the podcast who runs a very different business from you. But sometimes if we're seen to be so very perfect in our field of excellence, we almost become unrelatable. So I believe that it's so important that you share your knowledge, your expertise, and all that you share. But I feel it's equally valuable to share when you do have the off day, or I hope you don't mind me mentioning, but I love that I even know that you have a glass of wine on a Thursday because I see, I see you share things like this. You're real, you're human, and you're not trying to put a message out there to women to say the only way that you are going to be happy and healthy is if you are rigidly sticking to everything without giving yourself any grace, because that is not, it's not realistically going to work, and it's not really going to encourage people to get in touch because they'd think, well, that doesn't seem even achievable. And so, yeah, I love how real you are. I'd really like to talk about the importance of women looking after themselves in general, but of course, many of my listeners are parents as well. So some are, some aren't. Why do we have to look after ourselves as time goes on? What could you share with us that might make someone think, oh, crumbs, okay, yeah, maybe I have just been kind of, I don't know, pushing to the side the fact that I'm getting a bit older, or my body has changed because I might have had a baby. Why is it so important?
I think that has probably changed for me over the years as well. And I think it changes for all of us. The reasons that we do what we do, we stay fit, we look after ourselves, can change. And I suppose for me, when I think about me at my time of life, mid-40s, I'm beginning to think, well, I want to be healthy, live a healthy, fit life for as long as I possibly can. And I think that probably a lot of my clients are in that same space. I think certainly when we're in our 20s, early 30s and stuff, it's all about the weight loss and the bikini body and all those kind of things. And, I suppose I've stepped away from that a little bit because I've realized that there's so much more to life than that. And I think for me, what I find is that when clients first come to me, they have often lost confidence. They feel that they're low on energy. They feel that they just have no time whatsoever for themselves. And it affects all of us. It affects us physically, mentally, emotionally. And so exercising, I'm not just about the exercise, I'm about exercise, self-care, looking after yourself. And I very much talk to my clients about all of those things. But adding those things in is, we often see it as like a chore. It's something else to add to the list. And I liken it to either spending or investing. So you could spend time exercising and you see it as, oh, well, that's time that I've spent that I'm never getting back. And that's time out of my day when I've got so much more important things to do. Or you could look at it as an investment, and you're investing in your well-being, mentally, emotionally, physically. You're investing in your future as well. And I think that, what the women that I work with find is that when they are spending that time on themselves, I've just said investing that time in themselves. So when they're investing that time, it increases their confidence. It increases their, sense of balance as well, I think. And, a lot of my clients came to me as new mums, for example, and I've seen them over the years, being a bit start-stop, and then maybe only, just doing a workout or two a week, and, gradually building it up. And it takes time. And you watch them build it and build it and build it to a point where a lot of them now are it's just a habit. It's just part of what they do. And when they don't do it, they notice the difference. They notice the difference in how they feel. And I just really strongly feel that we've got to stop ignoring ourselves. And when we are always telling ourselves that we haven't got enough time, we haven't got the motivation, then we're essentially ignoring ourselves. And I think that can be detrimental in so many ways. Movement is, for me, about confidence. It's about confidence in our bodies and what they can do. And that has a knock-on effect on every other part of our lives. It's not just about one thing, it's about everything, I think.
I think another thing that came up for me just then when you were speaking is self-belief. I think that sometimes, I know I've been there before, where I think, oh gosh, I have been snacking a bit much, or why haven't I been moving as much as I usually move? And like you say, you notice when you don't do it. So, you feel a bit, ooh, and we can sometimes not quite value ourselves enough to do the thing. Actually to make us feel better, like you say, in such a holistic way. It is it's the energy levels and the, how you feel about yourself. It's the mindset. It is so many things. I think that for people to hear you say this will be really, really valuable. Obviously your clients know it, but I think for others to hear it will find it really valuable and maybe quite thought-provoking as well, because I do think it can be a big step for someone to start actually looking after themselves.
Yeah, and I think you can end up either in a vicious circle or a virtuous circle. And, the vicious circle is, oh, God, I feel fat. I feel low on energy. I'm rubbish. I can't ever do it. I can't keep it going. That's making me feel really bad. And because I feel really bad about myself, I'm going to, eat the chocolate. And there's nothing wrong with eating chocolate, by the way. But, you then, your confidence in yourself reduces to a point that you then find it very, very hard to actually do anything about it. You get into that vicious circle. Whereas actually when you get into that virtuous circle of actually I'm doing something for myself, however, it doesn't have to be huge. It can be a really little thing. It starts to increase your confidence in yourself. And once you start to increase your confidence in yourself, you can do more. And, I think that we can choose to get stuck in one or the other. Like you said earlier, we have that feeling of, needing to do like all the things. If we're going to get fit, we need to do all the things. And, my approach is very much about just starting small. Let's start one step at a time, because that is the way that you start to build the habits. You're not going to do it overnight. You're not going to suddenly be somebody who works out 5 times a week if you've never done anything before, but maybe you could work out once a week. And that can be a start. And I think that that's a really important part of it is the understanding of it not having to be an all or nothing job at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And how wonderful. Vicious or virtuous.
Yeah.
That's a light bulb moment. I love that. I really, really love that. We have the choice. And I think so often we don't allow ourselves to accept that we do have the choice. And I think also you telling us that it can just be the little changes. And of course, it takes a while for a habit to form. So we can't suddenly cut everything out of our life to become a bodybuilder overnight. It doesn't have to be like that, does it? It's very much, it can be little steps at a time.
Yeah.
So obviously women come to you for many different reasons, but what would you say is their experience and what do they really get out of working with you? Perhaps if they have been in a place where they haven't been exercising or they haven't had the confidence in themselves, what are a couple of the things that they get almost like as the bonuses of working with you?
So I think it goes back to some of the stuff we were just talking about, the starting small piece, because I'm very much, more and more, and the more I read about it and understand of it, I am, very anti-diet culture. When I talk about diet culture, what I mean is the idea that we need to, do all the things. We need to be doing several workouts a week. We need to be working really hard. We need to be cutting out the sugar and cutting back on the calories and doing all of these things. And I've been there, like I say, I've been there myself, I've done diets and I've been in that place of I'm not small enough. And even when I'm getting to my goal, still not feeling small enough. And I think I eventually got to a point where I was just sick of it. And, like I say, my own feelings about why I exercise and why I take care of myself are about different things these days. And I think that we, often women come to me with that all or nothing approach. And they will say to me, either I'm exercising all the time or I'm doing nothing. There is no in between, because we've all got that sense of, well, if I don't do all of it, then it's not worth doing any of it.
We're so hard on ourselves, aren't we?
Absolutely. But it's diet, it is diet culture. It's because this is what we are surrounded with all the time. And I think it's really dangerous. I think it really is. And it's why women are constantly on and off the wagon all the time. And so I kind of make it my mission to make it easy for women to get on that wagon and stay on it without the guilt, without worrying about missing a workout, without worrying that they spent the weekend drinking Prosecco and eating cake, all those kind of things. You kind of go, oh, I've ruined it all now. I might as well not bother, kind of thing, because we take that as confirmation that we're not capable of doing the things that we want to do. And actually, funnily enough, this weekend on my membership, we have a kind of weekly check-in. And one of the girls in fact, two of the girls had posted saying, oh, I've had a bit of a rubbish couple of weeks. And one of them said, who's been with me for quite a while now, sort of said to me, a couple of years ago, this would have totally put me off. I would have just stopped, and it would have taken me ages to get back on it again. Whereas now I just see it as, well, that's what happens sometimes. And I've had a couple of weeks where I felt rubbish and I haven't been able to exercise much, but it's okay, I'll just go back to normal today. And, the other one was saying, well, I realise now that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. And so she's had a week where she didn't do any of her workouts, but she's like, it's fine. I still looked after myself in other ways. I still ate well. I ate lots of veg. I did all these other things. So I'm still doing that work, and I'm still doing the things that I need to do. And I realised I really missed my weights workout, so I'm going to get back to it. And it's that, to me, is like music to my ears. I am not all about, you must do all of your workouts every week. If somebody says to me, I had a rubbish week, I didn't do anything, but I'm just going to carry on as normal this week, I'm like, brilliant. That's it. That's exactly what I want, because that is the way you make it sustainable, is understanding that we have ups and downs, we have lulls, and sometimes that lull can last for a few weeks. As long as we don't let it put us off entirely to the point that 6 months later we realise we still haven't done anything and we still feel rubbish about ourselves. I think that's the thing. So yeah, for me, it's about little small steps, and it's about removing the guilt, definitely removing the guilt.
Yeah. Extreme measures not welcomed here.
No,
don't need
not.
Extreme judgment either, and it just doesn't matter. And I think that what you're saying to me, or what I'm hearing from you about the membership, is there's that lovely nurturing, and the fact that people do speak honestly like that will make the others feel content as well. So I love it. It's almost the complete opposite to, like you say, that dieting cultural message that is all around us if we care to listen to it.
I've, I suppose, struggled with this a little bit over the last couple of years, because I'm a business and I want new clients. And I realised that my message doesn't resonate with those who all they want is the weight loss. They just want the weight loss and nothing else matters. And, there was a while where I struggled with it. I was like, oh God, do I just give them what they want? And eventually I went, no, because I don't believe in that myself. And so, the message that I put out there is going to be the one that I believe in, the one that I know will work for a lot of women, the message that a lot of women need to hear as well. We don't need to keep hearing this diet culture. We don't need to keep hearing that we're too big all the time, and that we don't fit in. We don't need to hear that anymore. And so I suppose particularly over the last few months, just that step of bravery from me to kind of go, actually, no, this is my message, and I'm not going to be swayed on that.
An authentic business owner, and that is so valuable and so important. And actually, the more authentic we are in everything we do, in every aspect of our lives, the more our message is going to get through to the right people. Actually, so well done you for taking that brave step and sticking with it. Now you've talked about busyness and how it can be one of the things that can perhaps put people off from looking after themselves. Is just the fact that they've got so many things on their plate. If I were to ask you to share one tip that you might give to women who literally have no time for themselves, who perhaps could benefit from doing something but just don't see the gaps in their schedule, is there anything they could do if they had simply 2 minutes in the day?
Well, I'll probably surprise you to hear me say this, being a fit pro. If you've got 2 minutes, do nothing. Literally, it's as simple as that. So this is something I personally have worked on, and I'm still working on, by the way. But, something that we all do, like you say, is we rush around all the time. We're always doing, trying to be productive, trying to get all the things done, trying to have everything in place for ourselves, our kids, our other halves, whatever that might be. And the last thing that a woman who is doing that needs is for me to sit here and say, oh, well, if you've only got 2 minutes, why don't you do some squats? It's not helpful. And I think the first step to self-care is proving to yourself that you have the time for some self-care. So starting to train yourself, because I have a strong belief as well that a lot of us are actually addicted to our stress hormones. I remember reading an article about this a while ago, and I was like, oh my God, it makes sense. We get a buzz from those stress hormones. We get addicted to it. And for any woman out there who is sitting there going, oh, I just prefer it when I'm busy, you're addicted. You simply are addicted to your stress hormones. And so the hardest thing to do in that situation is to make yourself do something that you regard as self-care, because it feels unproductive. So I think that you have got to train yourself first. And step number one is proving to yourself that you can put aside 2 minutes in your day. You can go lie down on the floor or on the sofa, and you can literally just breathe for 2 minutes. And that is step, with me, it's all about little steps. And once you've done that, and once you've proved that to yourself, you're like, oh, I wonder what might happen if I took 5 minutes, and then it becomes 10 minutes. So that for me is, whatever you do, if you are literally rushing around from dawn until dusk, find 2 minutes and just sit and be with yourself, because you need to learn to be with yourself.
You absolutely do. And it's harder than it sounds sometimes, isn't it? Like
Absolutely.
you say, with people's lifestyles. And I just think I had the word honor come into my head as you were saying that, we do need to honor ourselves. And what people will realize after they've done that first 2 minutes, which will probably feel incredibly self-indulgent and they should be helping this person or that person, what I think they'll realize, they will, is that the world didn't stop turning.
Yeah.
Actually. And so those small incremental steps that we can make in the right direction are going to be so, so precious. Thank you. I did not expect that to be your response. And I love that. I really love that. It will be a very welcome answer to people.
I hope so.
It will. It will. So let's talk about you and working for yourself. If you could share one thing that you find quite tough working for yourself, what would it be?
It is, I suppose it's the range of different things, isn't it, that we have to do. It's being the personal trainer, but then it's also being the marketing person and the admin person and. And I suppose that is something that I both love and hate about it. It's everything landing on me, but also I love it because I love being my own boss and not having anyone tell me what to do. So it's a bit of both. It's a bit of both, but it is definitely, for me, the hardest thing is trying to kind of do everything and be everything within the business.
Yeah, I hear you there. And I think that all the different roles not only take different skills, and we might be stronger in one area than the other, but also I think they take different amounts of confidence as well, because, you're trained in what you're trained in, but, then you've got to shout about how great you are. And, that whole promotion of your business is a very different place to be than when you're doing the training, the one-to-one or working in your membership. So I'm sure that you work around it very well, but I do definitely agree that can be tough, good as well. And how about the absolute best thing? You said that you wanted to run, you thought about running your own business, working for yourself for a while before you did it. So what is the best thing right now to be living in this place?
Well, it's a bit the same as last time. It's being my own boss. It is having 100% agency over what I decide to do and when I decide to do it. It's working out and involving what I do. What I do now is very different to what I did 8 years ago when I started the business. And I'm sure that, and I'm probably going through a bit of a period of change right now as well in terms of what my business looks like. And I'm sure it will look different again in 5 years' time. And it's that excitement of kind of knowing that you can keep evolving. And I do have a plan, but it changes sometimes. And, that sense of adventure and not knowing where you're going to go next, and knowing that all of those opportunities are open to you, I think is the most exciting thing about doing what I do, I guess.
That's great. Yeah, never a dull moment, I think, when you work for yourself.
Sure.
Of course, there are many challenging moments. But
for sure.
I agree. I think that we've used the word evolve a lot during this conversation, but it is so relevant and exciting, like you say. So as you know, the name of my business is How Does She Do It? Because I believe that she doesn't do it all. And I think that you're probably on the same page as me as well in that women do have a lot of pressure actually to do it all. And so I wonder if you could tell me and my audience one thing that you either absolutely do to ensure sort of a happy, healthy life and remaining on track with life, or one thing you don't do anymore. And if you've got one of each, you can tell me one of each.
Okay. Well, I think one thing I have done recently is delegate more. I've had a VA who has worked for me for quite a while now, but I've now also got somebody who manages my podcasts, which is amazing because I just record them and then she does all the rest. I have a lady who is helping me with my social media now and creating bits and pieces there for me. So having the help, and again, it's one of those kind of steps of bravery because you have to invest in it and you have to kind of go, okay, well, I'm investing now and I may not see a return yet, but eventually I will. If it's in 6 months' time or a year's time, that investment will pay off because it will free me up, like I was saying before, to do the stuff that we are better at. And what I'm better at is creating programs. It's being there for my clients. It's doing all of those things. And so delegating for sure. So I suppose that's something that I don't do anymore, isn't it?
Yeah, that's taking things off your list,
off my plate for sure. And then the one thing that I do, and it's a habit that I've built over the last year and a half, although I didn't do it this morning because I slept badly last night and got up late, but it's getting up and doing 10 minutes of meditation and a couple of minutes I've got a little journal where you kind of write 3 gratitudes and 3 things that would make today amazing. And, I try, my kids are about, they're sort of 12 and 9 now. So they're old enough to not be getting up first thing in the morning. So I get 10 minutes in the morning to get up and do that before they get up, which is really nice. And so that is something that I do. And, like I said, I've been a bit rubbish the last few days, but generally it sets me up for the day.
No judgment, like like you would say in your membership with the person that hasn't worked out for the week. It's just the same though, isn't it? And I think that we can employ these wonderful things in our lives, and if it gets to the point that we ridicule ourselves because we've missed a day of writing our gratitude, that almost makes it not worth doing. So that's cool. And actually, when I started my gratitude practice, probably about 5 or 6 years ago now, I did used to hang on to the fact that if I'd missed a couple of days, that I almost needed to write those days to catch up, and was quite firm with myself. But now I just let it go. It's like, well, there's been stuff going on. Like you say, you slept badly. You needed the sleep this morning. That was the best thing you could do for yourself. I love those. I really, really love those. And I think you're a great ambassador for the delegation because, and you talked about investment as well. It's really important because having worked as a virtual assistant myself in years gone by, it was often just trying to allow people to realize that it was going to benefit them, not only in the short term, but in the long term. And think about how much less stress you've got as well as you developing your business whilst they're helping you. That sort of tension and stress will be lessened as well, because you've got experts working in their own little areas whilst you're doing your thing.
Definitely.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing those. I feel like we've covered tons. As we're recording this, it's a Monday morning, so it's like such a great start for me, and it'll be a lovely end to the week for people that listen to the episode. So as we're rounding up now, I would like to make sure that my lovely audience are able to get in touch with you, and it would be great if you could tell us how they can find you, and we'll put it in the show notes as well, and what you'd like to share.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd love it if you came and listened to my podcast, which launched in May. So it's about a similar time to you, hey Jo. I think we're sort of going through this journey together with our podcasts. So you can go and listen to that on, Apple, Spotify, etc. And it's called The Busy Woman's Guide to Fitness and Wellness. So you can go and search that up. And you can find me at chickfit.co.uk, or you can find me at Alix ChickFit, and it's ALIX, by the way. So you can find me at Alix ChickFit on my social media channels as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, like I say, it's been an absolute pleasure. Brilliant way to start my week, and lovely to see you in your studio as well. It's great. I get to see people in their different working environments,
Yeah.
which is really cool and really interesting to see. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a lovely rest of the week.
Thank you, Jo. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much for listening today. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, I'd love you to take a moment to share and subscribe too. Come and join me over at How Does She Do It Life on both Facebook and Instagram. And until we speak again, I wish you a wonderful week ahead.